Yo, it's your man MAS. You seen the title, back for a part 2, alright? Yeah, I gotta double down on why dandadan destroys solo leveling, right? We're gonna get into way more context, alright? Because my opinion is not changing. Yours probably isn't too. But, I mean, we're just gonna jump right into it, right? Part 2, right? This 4-2, part 2, alright? Dandadan and solo leveling. Best animes of 2024. We're not talking about 2023. We're not talking about all times. We're not talking about the books. Strictly the anime. Let's say a new watcher coming for the first time. They've watched anime before, so not brand new, right? But like somebody who is familiar with anime is watching these two animes for the first time ever, right? Solo leveling, dandadan. Nobody, all these solo leveling fanboys and fangirls, like, listen, solo leveling is a damn good show. If dandadan didn't exist, solo leveling will have it. It is hands down the best anime of 2024 if dandadan was on the scene and took its lunch money. All right, like that's facts. I can't debate that. Dandadan is at the #1 spot and hasn't dropped since. Right, but that doesn't take it. Like, two things can be true, right? That does not take anything away from solo leveling. Solo leveling is still damn good. Maybe this is like a better comparison. Solo leveling is like Vegeta, and dandadan is Goku, right? Everybody knows Goku washes Vegeta. Everybody knows Vegeta is a beast, but everybody knows Goku washes Vegeta. But does that take anything away from Vegeta? No. Vegeta is still a beast. Vegeta is still S tier. Just Goku is God tier, right? And if Goku never existed, Vegeta would be the end all be all. That is solo leveling. Solo leveling would be the end all be all if dandadan wasn't there, right? And here's the thing that I also see people kind of arguing, which I don't understand. Anime is not one genre, right? Anime is anime. It's everything. It's almost like TV shows. Like, anime is just not action, all right? It's almost like football, and it's like, oh well, you know, the Heisman Trophy winner is always a quarterback. Like, football is not only about the quarterback, just like anime is not only about action. There are other genres. So all because most anime of the year or most anime in general, like the best anime title typically goes to like the most popular or most action-packed anime, like shonens and stuff like that, does not mean there aren't other genres of anime that are just as popular in other communities. Like, it's the truth. Like, me personally, I love romance anime. It is a thing. I would be damned if I see a romance anime win anime of the year. That would be amazing. I don't think that will ever happen. The same way I don't think a running back will ever win, you know, MVP of the league for that year. Like, it's the same like concept. There are other positions in anime, just like in football. There are other positions. So all because a linebacker never won player of the year doesn't mean that it's not possible. Same thing with anime. There are romance animes, there are mystery animes, there are thrillers. Like, there are different genres. So all because solo leveling is action doesn't mean like, oh, it should win automatically. It's the best genre. Like, it is possible that dandadan, not being as action packed as solo leveling, can still win anime of the year, right? Like, there are other genres that could be just as good. It just so happens, just like in football and the quarterback, like, action anime tends to be the most popular. So it's always at the forefront of like action anime, QB. Quarterbacks are always pretty much in the nominations for, hey, the MVP of the league, just like action anime, solo leveling, One Piece, like all those things, always anime of the year, because people are addicted to anime action. Myself, I'm addicted to anime action. I cannot lie, right? So there is that aspect of it, right? The other aspect is not only are there not other genres, right? But it is a possibility that, hey, solo leveling is really, really good at action. Is anybody saying dandadan has better action than Solo Leveling? No. Hands down, no. Like Solo Leveling, in terms of anime for 2024, it is the best action-packed anime. Solo Leveling's action beats dandadan hands down, right? Hands down. But does that mean that it deserves Anime of the Year? No, right? Solo Leveling is not balanced. Like, let's keep it 100. We're talking about anime overall. Solo Leveling is not a balanced anime. It is geared heavily towards action, heavily towards a shonen recipe, heavily towards leveling, Solo Leveling, right? It doesn't have, I don't think Solo Leveling really has romance, right? We're not talking about the books, right? Cause I know my Solo Leveling fan was like, nah, it has, like, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. It does have romance. Talking about season 1. Pound for pound. Dandadan season 1 versus Solo Leveling season 1. Strictly season 1. There was no real romance in Solo Leveling besides the girl that dipped out on Sung and now she has a hard on for him, right? Besides that, there is no romance in Solo Leveling compared to Dandadan. It's very evident that Dandadan is the more balanced anime compared to Solo Leveling. I don't even think that's a debate. Solo Leveling is more action-based. Dandadan is more well-rounded. It has action. It has romance. It has mystery. Does Solo Leveling have all those things? No. Like, I could continue to make the argument why Dandadan is better than Solo Leveling for 2024. Come season 2, will Solo Leveling probably destroy Dandadan? It could. Like, maybe Solo Leveling story-wise gets so much better, so complex that come season 2, it just checks all the boxes. Action, thriller, romance, I don't know, like it could check off all the boxes. But for season 1, it just doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. It's okay. Dandadan is the more well-rounded anime, and for me, it deserves to be anime of the year, anime of 2024, because those are the only 2 real competitors. It's Solo Leveling, which if it wins, right, that's great, it won. But if you had to ask, like, I feel like the most standard anime fans, somebody who's watched a lot of anime, Dandadan is just better. It's the most innovative. Keyword innovative. Dandadan is the most innovative anime of the 2. You can't even argue that. Like, what other anime has innovative, edgy, jokes, romance, drama, like suspense, that Dandadan checks all these boxes that Solo Leveling doesn't? Dandadan is the most balanced. Solo Leveling is still pretty balanced. It doesn't take anything away from Solo Leveling, but I just think it gears more so on the side of action, which is okay. Nothing wrong with that, right? And there was like another point that I wanted to get into, right? Not just like Solo Leveling and then Dandadan, like the books. Again, strictly the anime, not talking about the books, right? But there was another point. What was it?
12 seconds later.
The difference between Dandadan and Solo Leveling, right? And this is what I mean by innovation. All right, so this is take 3. All right, so there was more issues with my mic, and it's a new mic, it's a whole thing. But yeah, I know you see the fresh beer, so it's a different take, right? But essentially, the next point I was trying to make was Solo Leveling and Dandadan, why Dandadan is just more innovative, right? So when you're watching a show, there is that predictability factor, meaning, all right, can the viewer predict what's going to happen? The goal is, you know, with storytelling, you don't want the viewer, the reader, whoever, to know what's going to happen. That's what makes for I would say, like, semi-decent story. You don't want to watch something where you know everything that's going to happen, unless that's what you want to do. It's like, I don't know, like a Disney movie, like, oh, you already know what's going to happen. But even then, it's a bit boring if you know what's going to happen to the T. All right, so with Solo Leveling, here's one of the main detriments with Solo Leveling, right? You know Sun is never going to lose a battle. Boom, the argument's over, right? Dandadan wins, right? You know Sun is never going to lose a battle because the universe revolves around Sun in this show. If Sun loses, there is no Solo Leveling. So at worst part, or worst case, you know, if Sun has a fight, for the most part, you know he's always going to win. And if he's in like a predicament, he's going to level up. hence solo leveling. So that takes away from the predictability factor if you know Sun is essentially never going to lose a fight, right? Versus dandadan, you don't know what the heck is going to happen. You really don't, right? It really does have that fluidity factor where it's like, I mean, I'm assuming the main character is never really going to lose, but is he really the main character? Like, I believe he is, but there's so many different elements that you're still trying to get a grasp of what dandadan is in general, right? So, because it feels like there's a lot of essential characters, and you know, Okuren seems to be like the most prominent character, right? So I'm assuming he's the main character, but I really just don't know what's gonna happen. If you're honest with yourself, just watching season 1, not the books, you really don't know what's gonna happen, right? Versus solo leveling, after like episode 3, when Sun became that guy, right? You know, it went no going back, right? You know, when somebody got that swagger, he's not going back, all right? So Sun, leveled up in all aspects, and he's never going back. Again, it doesn't take anything away from solo leveling being a good show. I'm just saying the predictability factor is a detriment to like, hey, this is why dandadan should get best anime of 2024, right? It's the most innovative in all aspects, where solo leveling is not that innovative because at worst case, Sun is never going to lose a fight, right? But again, if dandadan ever existed, solo leveling would be the best anime. But I mean, that's the video, right? Maybe like season 2, solo leveling washes dandadan, which is fine, right? Nobody's saying like solo leveling doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying for this year, right, 2024, season 1 for season 1, dandadan was the better anime overall, not just in one aspect, overall, right? But again, apologize for the technical issues. But please, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me hear your inputs if you think solo leveling destroys dandadan. My solo leveling fanboys, fangirls. But it's your man MAS. I'm out.